Before alarms ruled our mornings and clocks divided our days into precise hours and minutes, humans woke with the rhythm of nature. The sunrise became their signal, darkness marked the end of the day, and the changing seasons shaped their lives. But how did they know when it was time to wake up? There is only a small shelter, a cold morning, and a world filled with predators, hunger, and danger. So here is a strange question. If ancient humans didn't have modern jobs or schedules, why didn't they simply sleep all day? After all, sleeping feels good. And without coffee, deadlines, or responsibilities like we have today, wouldn't ancient humans have spent most of their lives sleeping? Surprisingly, probably not. Their lives may have been exhausting, but their environment, survival needs, social behavior, and even the natural light around them helped shape when they slept and when they stayed awake. First, we need to understand something important. Ancient humans did not live in a world where they could simply choose their schedule. Every hour of the day had a purpose. Food had to be found, water had to be collected, fire had to be maintained, tools had to be made and repaired, children had to be protected, and the group had to remain alert to danger. If someone decided to sleep for 12 or 15 hours in the middle of the day, somebody else would have to do their work. In a small survival group, there was no delivery service, no supermarket, and no refrigerator full of food. If you wanted to eat, you often had to spend part of the day looking for it. But that doesn't mean ancient humans never slept during the day. They certainly could. Short naps may have happened, especially after physically demanding activities or during extremely hot weather. Some traditional human societies even developed sleeping patterns that were different from the modern 8 hours at night schedule. So the real question isn't, why didn't ancient humans sleep all day? It is, why did survival make being awake so important? One major reason was daylight. Before electricity, sunlight was incredibly valuable. When the sun was up, humans could see their environment clearly. They could travel, search for food, collect plants, hunt, build shelters, make tools, and perform many other activities. Once darkness arrived, everything became much harder. A forest that was familiar during the afternoon could become dangerous at night. A simple path could suddenly become difficult to navigate, and without artificial lighting, there was a powerful natural reason to organize daily activities around sunrise and sunset.
This created something similar to a natural schedule. Wake up with the morning light. Spend the day gathering, hunting, traveling, building, preparing food, caring for children, and interacting with the group. Then, as darkness arrived, activity gradually decreased. Fire became important. People could sit together, talk, prepare food, repair tools, and eventually rest. In other words, the sun itself acted like an ancient alarm clock. But there was another problem: predators. Imagine sleeping alone in an open landscape thousands of years ago. You wouldn't have a locked bedroom door. You wouldn't have walls designed to keep animals outside. Depending on where humans lived, dangerous animals could potentially approach camps or shelters. This meant that complete silence and total unconsciousness for extremely long periods could be risky. And this is where the group became incredibly important. Humans survived partly because they were social animals. A group could share responsibilities. While some people rested, others could remain alert. Adults could take turns watching children, maintaining the fire, or responding to unusual sounds. We should not imagine that ancient humans had a perfectly organized night watch schedule like soldiers, but social sleeping probably offered advantages, because not everyone needed to be awake at exactly the same time. There is also evidence from some modern traditional societies that human sleep can be surprisingly flexible. People may sleep in several periods rather than one uninterrupted block. They may wake briefly during the night, talk to others, check the environment, or simply remain awake for a while before returning to sleep. This reminds us that the modern idea of sleeping exactly 8 continuous hours may not be the only natural human pattern. Another reason ancient humans couldn't simply sleep all day was temperature. In many environments, the hottest part of the day could make physical activity difficult. But sleeping all day would create another problem. You would lose valuable daylight. Humans may therefore have adjusted their activities according to climate. They could work during cooler morning and evening periods, rest during the hottest hours, and use the remaining daylight for essential tasks.
And then there was food. Today, if you sleep through lunch, you can simply open a refrigerator when you wake up. Ancient humans didn't have that luxury. If you missed the opportunity to collect food, hunt, fish, or gather edible plants, you might have to wait until another opportunity appeared. Food availability could depend on weather, seasons, animal movements, and the condition of the landscape. Every day was part of a much larger survival system. But perhaps the biggest difference between ancient humans and us was energy expenditure. Modern humans can spend hours sitting almost completely still. We can watch movies, scroll through social media, play games, or work at a computer without moving very much. Ancient humans generally had fewer opportunities for this kind of prolonged inactivity. Their daily lives often required walking, carrying, climbing, digging, gathering, crafting, and other physical activities. That doesn't mean they were constantly exercising. Ancient humans also rested. They sat around fires. They talked. They watched children. They repaired tools. They probably spent plenty of time doing absolutely nothing productive by modern standards. Rest was not a luxury, it was necessary. But there was a difference between resting and sleeping. The body could recover while a person remained awake, especially when sitting quietly with the group. And here's something fascinating. Ancient humans probably didn't think about sleep the way we do today. They didn't have sleep trackers telling them they got 6 hours and 43 minutes. They didn't worry about reaching a perfect sleep score. They didn't have articles telling them they needed exactly 8 hours. Sleep was simply one part of the rhythm of life. Their bodies were responding to light, darkness, activity, temperature, food availability, social relationships, and danger. Their environment constantly provided signals about when to be active and when to rest.
So, could an ancient human have slept all day if they were extremely tired? Probably, but doing it regularly would have been difficult. Sleeping meant missing opportunities. It meant less time to find food, less time to travel, less time to maintain the shelter, and potentially less protection for the group. In a world where survival depended on constant attention to the environment, being awake had real value. And that leads to a surprising conclusion. Ancient humans may actually have had something we sometimes struggle to find today, a natural separation between activity and rest. Their lives were difficult, dangerous, and physically demanding, but their daily rhythm was closely connected to the natural world. The sun rose, people became active. Darkness arrived, activity slowed. The body became tired, and eventually people slept. Today, we can completely reverse that rhythm. We can stay awake at 3 in the morning under bright artificial lights and then sleep through the morning with blackout curtains. We can spend an entire day indoors without seeing the sun. Our technology has given us incredible freedom, but it has also allowed us to ignore many of the natural signals that once shaped human behavior. So, the next time you sleep late and wonder how ancient humans survived without modern beds, remember this. They didn't need to live by a clock because the environment itself was their clock. They had sunlight instead of alarms, fire instead of nightlights, physical activity instead of gyms, and survival itself as a reason to get out of bed. Ancient humans weren't sleeping all day because the world simply wouldn't allow it. There was food to find, fires to protect, children to care for, dangers to watch, and a limited amount of daylight to use. Sleep was essential, but so was waking up. And perhaps that's the strangest thing about our modern world. For the first time in human history, many of us live in an environment where we can choose when to sleep, when to wake, and even when the day begins. The ancient human didn't have that freedom. They had something much simpler. The sunrise said, "Wake up." The darkness said, "Rest." And survival made sure they listened. Thanks for watching.